Garrett Kaalund just destroyed the 200 meters at the USATF Outdoor Championships. Noah Lyles was one race away from completing his sprint double. Then, halfway through the final, Lyles grabbed his leg instead of the finish line. What happened in the next 10 seconds changed the story of American sprinting. Let's set the scene. The Toyota USATF Outdoor Championships were happening at Econ Stadium in New York City. This is the biggest domestic meet in American track and field. Every top sprinter in the country was there, fighting for a national title and a shot at bigger international meets ahead. Noah Lyles walked into this meet as the biggest name in the sport. He's the Olympic 100-meter champion from Paris. He's a four-time world champion in the 200 meters. 2 days before the 200-meter final, he won the 100-meter title in 9.79 seconds, tying his personal best. That's an elite time by any standard, so Lyles had a plan. Win the 100 meters, then win the 200 meters. Complete the sprint double. He had done this exact double before, back in 2024, on his way to the Paris Olympics. Everyone expected him to do it again. The 200-meter final arrived. Lyles came out of the blocks and rounded the turn in the lead, just like everyone expected. Then something changed. He felt what he later called a grabbing sensation in his leg. He pulled up. He didn't sprint through it. He just stopped pushing and walked the rest of the race. Lyles was honest about it afterward. He told reporters, "Everything was going fine. I came off the turn, and I just felt the grabbing sensation. I was like, yeah, this is the time to stop. There's no reason to push this. It was somewhat of a cramp. I'm fine. I just need to be stretched out, get some electrolytes in my system, but I'll be good." That's a mature response from an athlete who knows the bigger picture. He had nothing to prove by fighting through a cramp in a race that, for him, wasn't the biggest goal of the season. This particular year sits between major international championships, so there was no Olympic medal or world title on the line here. Just a national title. He had already claimed a title in the 100 meters 2 days earlier, so backing off here cost him far less than it would have during an Olympic or World Championship year. But while Lyles was walking to the finish line, the race kept going. And that's where this story turns into something much bigger than one man's cramp. Garrett Kaalund was in that field. Most casual sports fans had never heard his name before that day. But inside the track and field world, people already knew he was special. Kaalund grew up racing in Texas before he became a Trojan at USC. By the time he reached his senior year, he already had a growing list of personal best times and had helped USC win a team national title as an underclassman. But nothing in his college career compared to what he did during the indoor season that year. Kaalund is only 22 years old. He ran for the University of Southern California. And just a few months before this national title, he did something no collegiate sprinter in history had ever done. At the NCAA Indoor Championships, he ran the 200 meters in 19.95 seconds. That made him the first college athlete ever to break 20 seconds in the indoor 200 meters. It also set the American record and the collegiate record at the same time. Think about how fast that time really is. It was only 0.03 of a second off the actual world record for the indoor 200 meters, a mark that had stood since 1996. Kaalund ran the second fastest indoor 200 meters in history as a college senior. That wasn't a one-time fluke either. His whole season built up to that moment. He opened the year with a huge run in the 300 meters, the second fastest time ever recorded indoors at the college level for that distance. Then in February, he ran 20.1, 2 seconds in the 200 meters, breaking his own school's record, a mark that had been set by an Olympic champion. A few weeks after that, he won the Big Ten title in 20.06 seconds, which ranked as the second fastest time in NCAA history at that point. Every single race, he kept getting faster, right up until that record-breaking run at the NCAA Championships. After that performance, the awards followed. He was named Big Ten Track Athlete of the Year. He was named Track Athlete of the Year for his entire region by the National Coaches Association. This was a guy who had been building towards something big all year long, and everyone in the sport could see it coming except the casual fans who hadn't heard his name yet. So when the outdoor 200-meter final happened in New York, and Lyles pulled up with that cramp, Kaalund didn't panic, and he didn't celebrate early either. He kept running his race. He crossed the finish line in 20.04 seconds, and he became the national champion. Here's what makes that finish even more special. Kaalund became the first collegiate man to win the outdoor 200 meters national title since 2008. That's almost 2 decades without a college athlete taking this crown. And he did it while running against a 4-time world champion and Olympic medalist in the same race. The finish behind him was just as tight. Brandon Hicklin and Maximilian Thomas battled for second place in a photo finish, both clocking 20.29 seconds. That shows you how competitive this field really was, cramp or no cramp. After the race, Kaalund spoke to reporters, and his reaction felt completely real. He said, "It's kind of crazy. I never expected to become a national champion in my entire career. This is very shocking. But I'm going to work even harder." That's not the reaction of someone who thinks they got lucky. That's someone who understands they just stepped into a much bigger spotlight, and they're ready to earn their place in it. Now let's talk about what this means for Lyles going forward. He didn't seem worried about his long-term health. In fact, he framed the whole situation as useful preparation. He said he wanted to know what it feels like to wake up the day after running a hard 100 meters and then race again. His reasoning was simple. If something like this happens at a future Olympics, he needs to already know how his body responds. He called it a good test heading toward the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028. That's a telling comment. Lyles isn't just thinking about this one meet. He's thinking 3 years ahead, building experience for the biggest stage in the sport. So where does this leave both athletes moving forward? For Lyles, nothing here changes his status as the most dominant 200 meters runner of his generation. A cramp during a low-stakes national final in a year without a major global championship is not the same as losing to a rival. He proved his speed just 2 days earlier with that 9.79 in the 100 meters. His body gave out, not his competition. But for Kaalund, this changes everything. He walked into that stadium as a rising college star. He walked out as a senior national champion, standing on the same start line as the biggest names in the sport, and beating almost all of them to the finish. His indoor season already proved he has once-in-a-generation speed. His outdoor national title now proves he can produce when the pressure is real, in a stacked field, on a big stage. Trank fans have been talking about Kaalund's rise ever since that record-breaking run indoors. Now the entire country knows his name, and he's still only 22 years old, with what could be years of racing against Lyles, Bednarik, and the rest of America's sprint depth still ahead of him. The 200 meters in the United States has never had this much young talent chasing the same title. Kaalund just proved he belongs at the very top of that conversation. This is a story that started with one man's cramp, but it's turning into the start of another man's rise. And if Kaalund keeps running like this, that NCAA record from earlier in the year might end up being just the beginning of his story, not the highlight of it. Which sprinter do you think comes out on top the next time these two share a start line? Drop your prediction below. And if you want more breakdowns like this one, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what happens next in American track and field.